Hello class, welcome to Geometry Lesson 1-3, Midpoint and Distance Formulas. After this lesson, you should be able to use the midpoint and distance formulas to solve problems. So let's jump right in with the midpoint formula. We talked about this last year in algebra, but a quick refresher. A midpoint of a segment is the point that divides the segment into two congruent segments. Okay, so it's the halfway marker between the two endpoints on a line segment. The way you find that is you add your x's, divide by 2, add your y's, divide by 2, and then you write them as an ordered pair for your answer, okay? So let's try finding a midpoint. So just a reminder, ordered pairs we always write in alphabetical order, x comma y, and then x comma y. So my two x values are -1 plus -5, and then I know I'm going to divide that by 2. My two y values are -1, -5, so -1 plus -5. Now if I add -1 plus -5, I get -6 divided by 2, -6 divided by 2, and if I simplify that, -6 divided by 2 is -3, -3. That is my answer. Let's try doing another one. So again, x, y, x, y. I recommend take that half a second to write x, y over each one, because even if you know that it goes x and then y, sometimes our eyes play tricks on us and we copy down the wrong number. This helps you look at the correct numbers. So then my x's, I have a 2 plus a -5, and I'll divide that by 2. And my y's, I have a -5 plus a 5, and I'll divide that by 2. 2 plus -5 is -3 divided by 2, and -5 plus 5 is 0 divided by 2. Now, I can either leave that as -3 over 2, or you can write -1.5. I'm okay with either one. And then we have 0 divided by 2, which is just 0. And that is my answer for the second problem. Go ahead and find this midpoint on your own. Hopefully you ended up with 1/2 1 as your midpoint. If not, please be sure to reach out for some help. Example 2, find a partition of a segment. Okay, so this we did not do in algebra last year. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the line segment, and in this case we want to find a point that's not halfway between the two endpoints, but I want to find a point that is 3/5 of the way from A to B. So that means I'm starting at A, and I want to go like 3/5 wherever that may be, and find out what is that coordinate. So the way you do this is the first thing you're going to try to figure out is what is the halfway point horizontally. So not the halfway point. We're not looking for halfway. What is the point that's 3/5 of the way horizontally? So you take the distance, so let's figure out the horizontal distance. So remember, horizontal is the left and right, okay? So that is our x values. And you're going to say 3/5 times. We're going to use absolute value because distance can never be negative. That way it doesn't matter which order you do. I'm going to say 13 minus 3. Okay, so if I do that, 3/5 times, and 13 minus 3 is 10. So 3/5 times the absolute value of 10, that equals 6. Now I need to do the vertical distance. And that's our up and down, that's our y value. So again, I'm going to say 3/5 times the absolute value of, what are my y values? I have an 11, and a negative 4. I'm going to start with the 11 because it's paired with that 13. So 11 minus negative 4. 3/5 times the absolute value of 11 minus negative 4 is the same thing as 3/5 times the absolute value of 15, which is 9. Okay, so I've found how far horizontally and how far vertically I have to move in order to be 3/5 of the way between the two. The next step is you need to take that information and you need to add it to the point that you're moving from. So I'm moving from point A, so my A value for x is 3. And this 6 is how far I'm moving in the x direction, so I'm going to add 6. And then for my y, I started with negative 4, so I say negative 4 plus I'm moving 9 units in the y direction. So the point that is 3/5 of the way from A to B is 3 plus 6 is 9, comma, negative 4 plus 9 is 5. So that is my point. So 9, 5 would be, let's see, right there, about. That's about 3/5 of the way. It's a little farther than halfway between. Okay, so let's talk through that step again. Step 1, find the horizontal distance between the 2 points and multiply by how far you want to go. So in this case, it was 3/5, and then my horizontal distance, they were 10 units apart. And then do the same thing for the vertical distance, this time using your y coordinates. Add those 2 values to the point that you are moving from. Go ahead and try this problem on your own. Good luck. Hopefully you ended up at 10, 6.5 as your coordinate. If not, please be sure to put a little note next to it and ask myself or a friend. All right, and then the distance formula. We worked with this last year. Just a reminder, d equals the square root of, you need to subtract your x's and square them, plus you need to subtract your y's and square them. Okay? Let's find the distance between the 2 following points. So I like to have the distance formula written out at the top of my paper. Ooh, this smartboard is sensitive. There we go. All right. Then again, I'm going to do xy, xy, and I'm going to say that this is x2, y2, x1, y1. Remember, the order doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. So d equals the square root of 5 minus negative 7 squared plus 9 minus negative 7 squared. So d equals 5 minus a negative 7 becomes 5 plus 7, or 12. So I have 12 squared plus 9 minus negative 7 becomes 9 plus 7, which is 16. So we have 16 squared. So the distance equals 12 squared is 144. 16 squared is 256. 144 plus 256 is 400. And the square root of 400 is 20. Remember, we're trying to label our answers. Go ahead and try to find the distance for this one on your own. Good luck. Hopefully you ended up at d equals 4 units, but if not, please be sure to reach out for some help. I'd be more than happy to assist you. Have a great day.